Are you ready for the biggest iPhone ever? That's right, Apple's gearing up to release the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it's shaping up to be a game changer in more ways than one. If you thought the current Pro Max models were impressive, just wait until you hear what's supposedly coming down the pipeline. Let's dive into all the juicy details and rumors swirling around this highly anticipated device. First things first, let's talk about that screen. Word on the street is that Apple's bumping up the display size from 6.7 inches to a whopping 6.9 inches. Now, we know what you're thinking. Is that really necessary? But hear us out. This isn't just about having a bigger screen for the sake of it. This size increase could open up a whole new world of possibilities for productivity and entertainment. Imagine having even more real estate for multitasking, watching videos, or playing games. And for those of us who struggle with tiny text, this extra space could be a real eye saver. But don't worry, Apple's not just making the phone bigger willy-nilly. Rumor has it they're also working on slimming down those bezels, so you're getting more screen without the phone feeling like a tablet in your pocket. Now, it's not just about size, quality matters too. There's talk of Apple using some cutting-edge OLED technology that could make the display up to 20% brighter. Think about how much easier it'll be to see your screen on those bright sunny days. And for all you night owls out there, this new tech might also be more power efficient, potentially giving your battery life a nice little boost. Speaking of design, Apple's never been one to rest on its laurels. While we're not expecting a complete overhaul, there are some intriguing changes in the works. For starters, there's buzz about a new capture button. This isn't just another boring button. It's supposed to be a game changer for how we take photos and videos. Imagine being able to quickly focus and snap a pic without fumbling around with on-screen controls. It's these little quality-of-life improvements that can make a big difference in day-to-day use. Color-wise, Apple might be shaking things up a bit. We're hearing whispers of a new rose option that could be this year's standout color. And for those who prefer the classics, space black, silver, and gray are likely to make a return. But here's where it gets interesting. The Pro Max might be getting that color-infused back glass we've seen on the base models. It's a small touch, but it could give the phone a more premium, cohesive look. Now, let's talk about cameras, because, let's face it, for many of us, that's a make-or-break feature. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is rumored to be packing some serious upgrades in the photography department. We're talking about a potential 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera, which would be a massive jump from the current 12-megapixel. Think about the level of detail you could capture in those sweeping landscape shots or group photos. But the real star of the show might be the telephoto lens. There's chatter about Apple doubling the focal length to 300 millimeters. In plain English, that means you could zoom in way further without losing quality. Imagine being able to capture crystal clear photos of wildlife or your kid's soccer game from the sidelines. It's like having a professional-grade zoom lens right in your pocket. And it's not just about megapixels and zoom. Apple's reportedly working on some clever tech to reduce lens flare and handle bright light sources better. So those annoying streaks and artifacts you sometimes get in your photos, they might become a thing of the past. Under the hood, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is shaping up to be an absolute beast. We're looking at a new A18 Pro chip that's rumored to be so powerful it might even outperform some of Apple's laptop chips in certain tasks. This isn't just about bragging rights. This kind of power opens up a whole new world of possibilities for what your phone can do. One area where this extra oomph could really shine is in AI features. Apple's making a big push into what they're calling Apple Intelligence, and the Pro Max could be one of the few phones capable of handling these advanced AI tasks right on the device. We're talking about things like super smart photo editing, contextual awareness, and a much more capable version of Siri. But it's not all about raw power. There's talk of the Pro Max getting support for Wi-Fi 7, which could mean blazing fast internet speeds when you're connected to compatible networks. And for all you data hoarders out there, we might even see storage options go up to a massive 2 terabytes. Just think of all the 4K videos and high-res photos you could store. Now, we know what you're thinking. All this sounds great, but won't it drain the battery like crazy? Well, Apple's thought of that too. Rumor has it they're working on some clever new battery tech that could not only increase the capacity, but also improve heat management. We're hearing numbers like 4,676 milliampere hours being thrown around, which would be a nice bump from the current model. But it's not just about having a bigger battery, it's about using it more efficiently. With that new OLED screen tech and more power-efficient chips, Apple might be able to squeeze out even more usage time. They're apparently aiming for over 30 hours of video playback, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. Of course, hardware is only half the story. The iPhone 16 Pro Max will be running iOS 18, and from what we've heard, it's going to be a pretty significant update. We're talking about a more customizable home screen where you can place apps and widgets wherever you want. It's like Apple's finally giving us the freedom to make our iPhones truly our own. But the real star of the show is likely to be those AI features we mentioned earlier. Imagine having a much smarter Siri that can actually understand context and have more natural conversations. Or how about AI-powered writing tools that can help you craft the perfect email or message? And for all you creative types out there, there's talk of some pretty impressive AI image generation and editing tools built right into the Photos app. Now, here's where things get really interesting. There's been a lot of speculation about whether Apple might ditch the Pro Max name altogether and introduce an iPhone Ultra instead. It's hard to say for sure at this point, but it seems like the Pro Max name might stick around for at least one more year. But regardless of what they call it, it's clear that Apple's pulling out all the stops to make this the most impressive iPhone yet. We're talking about a device that's not just incrementally better, but one that could potentially redefine what we expect from a smartphone. Now, we know you're probably itching to know when you can actually buy one of these bad boys. While nothing's set in stone yet, Apple typically announces new iPhones in September. If they stick to their usual pattern, we might be looking at a September 10th announcement, with pre-orders starting on September 13th and the actual release on September 20th. But remember, these are just educated guesses at this point. As for price, well, brace yourself. The current iPhone 15 Pro Max starts at $1,199. And with all these upgrades, it's hard to imagine the price going down. In fact, some folks are speculating we might see another price bump. But hey, quality doesn't come cheap, right? So the million-dollar question, or should we say the $1,000 question, is the iPhone 16 Pro Max worth upgrading to? Well, that really depends on what you're using now and what you need from your phone. If you're coming from an older iPhone or Android device, the jump in capabilities could be pretty significant. That larger, brighter screen could be a game changer for media consumption and productivity. The camera upgrades might be enough to convince amateur photographers to leave their dedicated cameras at home. And if you're into mobile gaming or use your phone for demanding tasks, that A18 Pro chip could offer a noticeable performance boost. But if you're already rocking an iPhone 15 Pro Max, the decision gets a bit trickier. Sure, the upgrades are impressive, but are they $1,200 plus impressive? That's something you'll have to decide for yourself based on your needs and budget. Lastly, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is shaping up to be a pretty exciting device. It's not just about having the biggest screen or the most powerful chip, it's about how all these features come together to create a phone that can do more and do it better. From the supersized screen and souped-up cameras to the AI-powered features and potentially game-changing battery life, Apple seems to be swinging for the fences with this one. Whether it'll live up to the hype remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, the smartphone landscape is about to get a little more interesting. Remember, while all of this sounds pretty amazing, it's important to take these rumors with a grain of salt. Apple's known for keeping things under wraps until the big reveal, so some of these features might change, or new ones might pop up that we haven't even heard about yet. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? The anticipation, the speculation, the excitement of what might be coming. It's what keeps us tech enthusiasts on our toes, always looking forward to what's next in the world of smartphones. So, what do you think? Are you excited about the iPhone 16 Pro Max, or are you skeptical about whether these upgrades are really necessary? Either way, it's clear that Apple's not resting on its laurels. They're pushing the boundaries of what a smartphone can be, and that's pretty exciting, no matter how you slice it.